Florida, we now know how much of your taxpayer money has been spent to settle sexual harassment cases involving state government employees. Our Contact 5 investigator, Katie LaGrone, has the answer and reveals the one state agency named in the majority of these cases. Katie.
Michael, we asked for a 30-year look to find out just how much Florida government agencies have paid to settle sexual harassment claims. And some say the numbers tell just part of the story. Numbers just released by the state reveal the dollar-by-dollar scars left behind by allegations of sexual harassment amid state agencies in Florida. Over the past 30 years, data shows Florida taxpayers have paid out more than $11 million to state workers who claim they were sexually harassed on the job.
These are just the claims that were brought.
From state universities to its child welfare agency, in all, the state has settled more than 300 sexual harassment claims over the last 3 decades, the most stemming from inside its primary prison system. In fact, more than half of all these settlements involved Florida's Department of Corrections, where its priciest case settled 10 years ago for $1.3 million after a group of nurses filed a class action lawsuit claiming they were repeatedly harassed by inmates and their complaints repeatedly ignored by higher-ups.
That shouldn't have happened. If there were a proper training system in place, perhaps it would have stopped much earlier.
Employment attorney Shana Thorpe has worked sexual harassment cases for both private companies and the government. Filing harassment claims in government, she says, has its challenges.
There is that fear that if another employer pulls that employee's personnel file, which they lawfully can do, that settlement would show up and that new employer may be spooked.
In addition, government protection limits what victims can get compensated for and how much. Of all cases Florida has settled since the late 80s, sexual harassment accounted for roughly 15%.
Having a solid anti-harassment policy, anti-retaliation policy in place, and actually using that policy can save the taxpayers a lot of money in the long run.
And tonight we are hearing from Florida Governor Rick Scott's office, a spokesperson sending us a statement that reads in part, Florida has absolutely zero tolerance for harassment of any kind. The governor wants every state employee to be able to work in an environment where they feel safe. Now, the Florida Department of Corrections also echoing that statement. In fact, both offices also telling us that the majority of these payouts occurred before the governor took office. Live in Tampa, Katie LaGrone, WPTV News Channel 5.